All right, and you will be able to join this live lesson as well. So yes, Marilyn, give me a minute. I will see if I can find that sign-in form. Once I'm going to give you all time to, you're going to have a sandbox time where you can explore these activities. And during that time, I'm going to see if I can find that sign-in form for you all to be able to sign in for this session. So let's go ahead and get started. This is all about creating and hosting an interactive lesson or activity in Wayground. This is a Wayground 101 session, just a basic session to get you acclimated to using Wayground. So if you came for a Quizizz session, Quizizz is now Wayground. We have changed the name. You still are going to get all of those great features that you had in Quizizz, but we actually outgrew the name Quizizz. And a lot of people didn't even know how to pronounce it. And because we're so much more than a quiz, we felt that it was best for us to be able to identify all of the things that we can do and help students find a way forward, hence the name Wayground. All right, so let's see. I think Jennifer may have put a link in for the sign in. Let's see if that will work. You all click on that to see if you have access to that sign in form. If that doesn't work, let me know and I'll see if I can find. Okay, thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate you. And James says it works. So what exactly is Wayground? Well, let me tell you, it is a versatile instructional hub that lets you deliver your content and also helps you transform student outcomes. So what you're going to find with Wayground is that there is so much more that you can do, more than just an assessment or a quiz. It can help make your curriculum go. So what do we mean by that? When I introduce you to some of these activity types, what you're going to find is that Wayground has AI immersed throughout the platform. And so if someone can help me out in the chat, if you all can paste that link again, Jennifer, if you would just put that link in the chat again so that others can go ahead and sign in, that would be very, very helpful for everyone. And what do we mean by making your curriculum go? AI is there to help make it easier for you to create and modify your content, because we're looking at how we can make our resources interactive, how we can make our lessons interactive. There are also high quality instructional materials that are available. And we even have accommodations, you all, so you can make anything you do in Wayground accessible. All right, so Robert, let me see if I can copy this link for the sign-in form. All right, I believe you can use that link now. That's the same link that Jennifer had put in the chat. All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk about this. So what questions do you all have about Wayground that you're hoping to get answered today? If you came for a Quizizz session, you're still in the right place. Quizizz is now Wayground. And if you have any questions about how you can use Wayground and help you create those interactive lessons or interactive activity types, let me know, and I will definitely do my best to answer any and all of your questions. So I'll give you all time to think about it. And if you don't want to put your questions, if you didn't get a chance to log into the actual platform, then feel free to just post it in the chat. You can also go to joinmyquiz.com and enter this join code if you want to join the live lesson. I'll just post that up there for a couple of minutes. All right, so I see we have a question. And I am running this as a live lesson or a live presentation, just trying to model how you too can use the interactive lessons in your classroom, how to use it as a way to get students practice and feedback in authentic ways. So Carolyn, I'll definitely show you how you can use Wayground in these activities so that you can get feedback from students in authentic ways. And Alejandra is new to Wayground. That is perfectly fine. I'll still show you how you can easily get started with it, Alejandra. And Marilyn, I'm wondering if students have a homepage that can track scores across weeks. Absolutely, it does, Marilyn. The students will have their own dashboard, so they'll be able to see how they have performed across their activities in their dashboard, but you also can see how, for the student reports, you'll be able to track student progress as well. Ramiro, nothing at the moment, but I'd like to know how it works. Definitely will let you know that. And are there any big changes between Wayground and Quizizz? RS, you're going to see that there are a lot of the same activities, but there have been new updates and a few new features that have been added. So you'll probably be able to spot those as well. And can I use it the same way for in-person and online classes? Elizabeth, you absolutely can. Wayground is designed for both asynchronous or online classes as well as synchronous or in-person. So any of the activities can be hosted live, or you can assign for online or asynchronous. And just looking to see how it can help us. Got you on that, T. And what games students like most, and new to it, looking for info, and how to help students cheating other than making an assignment private instead of public. Patricia, with that, there are going to be some new features that have been added, especially when you put an assessment in test mode. You're going to be able to lock down. This is coming for back to school. You'll be able to lock down that testing environment. In terms of preventing cheating, of course, you know, making an assignment private is probably one of the ways, but that lockdown mode is probably going to help you with that as well. All right, so hopefully I've answered Paige your questions. And Marilyn, I'm wondering if students have a home page. Okay, so I think I answered that for you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This is our agenda. We're going to look at the Wayground platform. We're going to look at AI and how it can help us create or modify the content we already have. And we even have accommodations. I don't think we'll get to that. I will try. We may not get to accommodations, but we're definitely going to get to the Wayground reports. All right, so let's go ahead and start. I am Felisa Ford. I am a Wayground professional learning specialist, but it is all about Wayground. So let's look at how we can create interactive lessons and activities in Wayground. And you all, what I will say is I'm going to try to show you easy ways that you can do this without starting from scratch. And let me ask you before we get started, do you all use Google Slides or do you use PowerPoint? Are you a Microsoft district or a Google district? All right, Google, thank you for that feedback. So this is going to make it a lot easier for you all because you can use your Google Slides that you already have, and I'm going to show you the easy ways that we can create these interactive lessons. So typically in Wayground, you're going to be able to create or host an activity in 4 easy steps. You can either search for an activity in the library, or you can create the activity in the instructional suite. Now, steps 1 and 2 are you can just interchange those. It doesn't matter if you want to create first or search for it first, but whatever you created or whatever you found, you're going to either host it or assign it. That's step 3. And then the 4th thing you're going to do is look at the data. That is the reports and all of the activities in Wayground generate a report once you assign it or once you host it live. Also within Wayground, we have different game modes. We have live game modes for you to engage in the classroom with those students, but we also have asynchronous game modes. And so we have 3 new asynchronous modes for when you want to assign an activity online for homework, practice, or review. So we have the practice, we have the accuracy, and we have the graded assignments for that asynchronous activity. And this is new, these 3 steps. So I want to show you, before we get started creating, I'm just going to show you where you will go and how you would assign the activity. So for any activity that you've created or hosted, it will always be found in library. This is your library where all of your content lives. And so when I go to library, I'll see all of my resources, and I'm just going to click on, let me find an assessment. I'm just going to click on this assessment. This works for any activity. I will either assign it, and when I assign, I'll see the 3 game modes for assigning, whether it's for practice. And when you click on each game mode, it tells you what that game mode does. And you can Also, it gives you like examples of how you would use that game mode, and then for testing. So that's assigning an activity. If I wanted to do the same assessment live in my class, I would go to Start Now. And when I start this live in my class, I have 6 game modes. So this is a way to make Wayground engaging and more interactive for your students. And it's also a way for you to meet the needs of a variety of learning styles. So definitely wanted to call your attention to that. But let's go ahead and look at how we can actually create some content. We're going to look at the Wayground platform, looking at some of the different activity types that we can create. And we're going to start with the instructional suite. This is where we go to create our content. And I want you to think of the instructional suite as your content delivery hub. This is how you deliver your content in a variety of ways. And you're going to also notice that there's a consolidation of tech tools that you may already use, but now they're going to be consolidated into this one Wayground hub, making it seamless for you to create and deliver your content in a variety of ways. So we have 5 different activity types that are found in Wayground. We have assessments, but we also have presentations, and I'm running this as a live presentation. We also have passages, interactive videos, as well as flashcards. But we're going to talk about how we can create these interactive presentations as well as interactive lessons or other activities. So let's start with an assessment. Of course, with these assessments, they are great with any of these activities that are found in the instructional suite. We can use AI to help us create them. For our assessments, we can even use AI to help us generate an assessment from scratch with a variety of question types. And as you see, we have a variety of questions to make our assessments engaging and more interactive. So I say this because I want you to think about using different question types for your assessments. This is going to be one way that you can make your checks for understanding more engaging and more interactive. But we also want to talk about our interactive presentations. This is really what we're going to focus on. We have Google Slides Sync now, and this is why I was asking you, what do you use? With Google Slides, take your current Google Slides. We're not starting from scratch. We're going to use what we already have. So take your current Google Slides and you can import them into Wayground. And the benefit of doing this is because if I have to make a change on my Google slide, that change will be reflected in my Wayground presentation. We also have a new lessons toolbox for our lessons to help make our lessons interactive this way. So, and this will automatically appear with your presentations. So you'll be able to annotate on your slides as you are teaching. Your students will be able to annotate on their screen. We can also, and this could help, explain something in detail when you're on that slide or call attention to something. But also within our slides, we even have whiteboards. So if I needed to, as a teacher, in the middle of teaching my lesson, if I needed to explain something in more detail or maybe work out a problem for my students or maybe even work out a math problem, I could bring in an equation, work that equation out, or whatever it is that I needed to do. I could bring in shapes or whatever it was to explain to my students how to work out something. But the best part about it is I can even allow my students to have their own whiteboard so that during my live lesson, they can even demonstrate to me that they understand what it is that I'm teaching. And so I will be able to see real time and do this check for understanding. They can demonstrate their understanding so I can identify gaps in learning or any misconceptions. So this really works well if your students have some type of touchscreen device or even iPads where they can navigate this, and you can even project their screens, allowing their peers to see what they've done. And you can even keep their names anonymous. So this is one way we can make it engaging. And then once I'm done, I just go back to my whiteboard and I can close it out. And I'm back at my live lesson. Other things that I can do with this live lesson to make it interactive is I can release my students for that gradual release or that independent practice during my live lesson. If I needed them to work on something, I could convert it to student pace mode. And I could have my students go to specific slides in my lesson and just start that within the lesson. And then once I'm done, they come right back to the live lesson. So those are a couple of ways that we can make our lessons interactive, but we have even more ways we can do this. We can even add external resources to our live lessons. We can embed questions for those checks for understanding. We can embed interactive videos or passages or even external websites. And so we'll also be able to assess students' understanding. And I'm going to show you and model how to do this. We have for you to be able to bring in your Google Slides, as I said, and we can even use AI to generate questions from our Google Slide. So I want to show you that in real time. And once we bring in our Google Slides, we have the option to have AI create questions from that Google Slide, making it more engaging and more interactive. So I'm going to model this for you, and we can do this in really 4 steps. When we get ready to create this interactive lesson, we could add a new slide. After you've imported your Google Slide, you're going to go straight to step 2 and add a new slide. And you could even add an interactive video, and you can add that to your slides. I'm getting ready to model this for you in real time. So I just wanted you to see this. And I'm going to just pause right here so that I can model actually creating a live interactive lesson. So the first thing I do, just so you see, I'm going to go to this pink create button. This is how I get to the instructional suite. And this is where I get access to the 5 different activity types. So I'm going to start with a lesson. So this is the first thing I'll do. And I'm going to import a Google Slide lesson right from my drive. So I'm going to import, and it may just prompt you to log into Google. And you simply just follow the prompts. And so for this one, I think I have something on ancient Rome. And I'll just use this one, the slide on ancient Rome. So it's going to bring in my slides. And as it's bringing in my slides, and I think I kept this one short so it wouldn't take as long for it to pull in your slides. And if you have slides, I would limit it to maybe 50 slides. If you have a really long slide presentation, over 50 slides, I would probably cut that in half, maybe make it 2 different slides and bring them in separately. And then you can always, once you bring them in, you can merge them. But I'm going to bring in all of my slides. And this is where I can have AI generate questions for these slides. And it's also going to insert the questions that it generates right beneath the slide that question is referencing. So it's bringing in, creating checks for understanding, and it's going to add these checks for understanding right to the slides, right beneath the slides that it is assessing. And it typically takes AI less than a minute to generate our activities. So as we see, it has created questions for us. And now I'm just going to start editing because I want to make my Google Slides more interactive, more engaging for my students. So the first thing I'm going to do after AI has generated these questions, I'm going to go to Add Slide, and I want to find an interactive video. So this is a slide type. So I'm going to select the interactive video slide type and just search for an interactive video that I want. And you may be wondering, what is an interactive video? It's a video that has questions embedded in it, or AI can add questions to it. So I'm looking for something on ancient Rome because that's the lesson I'm teaching. And I can search by my grade. I can search by a specific grade level and a specific subject, or you can leave this blank and it's going to give you more options. All right, so let's find, we'll find one. Here's one. We'll do this one on the ancient explorers or the gladiators. We'll do this one on the gladiators. All right, so once I find my interactive video, I select proceed because at this point, I want AI to generate some questions to go along with this video. And so as we see, it is creating these questions for me. You all think of Wayground AI as your own personal teaching assistant designed to help you easily create content in a matter of seconds so that you don't have to spend all of your time creating these engaging and interactive resources and activities. So it has created my interactive video, and I'm going to save Actually, I'm going to keep adding because I want to make it even more engaging. I want more than an interactive video. So I'm going to go to add slide again. And this time, I want to bring in a website on ancient Rome. So you can bring in external websites. You can bring in Google Docs. You can bring in anything that has a URL. And you would just use the web page link slide. So once I brought this in, let me just go to Nat Geo Kids. And I think I'm going to look for something on ancient Rome. All right, so I found this article. All I have to do at this point is just copy the URL. And I'll go back to the slide and just paste it. The best way to do this is using an activity that doesn't require your students to sign in. Now, during the middle of my lesson, when students get to this particular slide, it is an active live slide, live web page. They will be able to click through, scroll through this slide, and engage. So yes, Patricia, you can actually, with Edpuzzle, we have a way for you to bring in your Edpuzzle resources. So I can share the link for you to be able to do that, because these interactive videos, as you know, work the same way. So if you have your Edpuzzle videos, you can bring those in as well. Alejandra, this is available. You can translate, and I'll show you how you can translate these resources too with the help of AI. And of course, once you're done, add in all of these engaging features that you want. And if you wanted to just add a regular video, you could. We save the changes. You always have to give your activity a name, and we'll just call this our ancient Rome lesson. Estella, can you select the scaffold by Lexile levels? Estella, you can. I'll show you how to do that momentarily. You all are asking some great questions, and we always choose your grade level. And then you can even determine the visibility. Who do you want to see your content? You can make it public, private, or just people there at Salinas Union School District to be able to see it. And it's optional to add a cover image, and we save. And now my lesson is ready to go. I can either assign this to my students for homework or practice for them to go at their own pace, or I can run this live in class as a teacher-paced lesson. And I see that everything is in here. All right. Another activity that we could create that is interactive and that I could also insert into this lesson is a passage. And with our passages, a couple of ways we can do that. I can have AI generate this passage for me, or I can even bring in my own passage from a website or upload a PDF and have it generate a passage that way. But we're going to generate with AI because I want you to see how easy it is to do this. So someone give me a topic. What are you teaching? Give me, and we're going to have AI generate a topic, generate a passage on that topic. So think about the upcoming school year. What is a subject or maybe a lesson that you have to teach? Rome's legacy. Okay, Alejandra, we'll do that. Rome's legacy. All right, so we'll just type in our prompt. We choose our genre, either fiction or nonfiction. So this is going to be great for informational text. We'll choose nonfiction, and we choose our grade level. Alejandra, what grade level are we teaching this? Rome's legacy. 7th grade, okay? And you choose the subject. So this is going to be for social studies or history, either one. And you also get to choose the number of paragraphs depending on your students. And if you want to see where AI has pulled this content, you can keep this toggled to use the sources, but I'm going to turn it off because it adds an extra step. So I'm going to have it generate this passage. Now, if you include a specific terminology, vocabulary, or maybe even specific topics as you were teaching Rome's legacy, you may want to put that here so that it's included in the passage. So maybe in Rome's legacy, we talked about Roman architecture, or maybe even Roman art and culture, or maybe even Roman law. So I'll include those as my 3 topics, and we'll continue. So Marilyn, yes, it will include a works cited page. When you keep it toggled on for sources, it will show you where it's pulling that content, and you'll see the cited sources. All right, so now it's creating the passage, but we know that all of our students don't read at the same level. So now that it's created the passage, it has also created the questions, but we'll get to the questions momentarily. You can build in scaffolds as well. I think someone asked about scaffolds. All of your students will not read at the same level, so we can have supports that you can bring in. So maybe you want to bring in an image just to have some students that may need that. So we can search for Rome's, or we'll just search for ancient Rome or Rome and just identify some images that we may want to use. Or we could also add audio. You could upload an MP3 file, or you could even record directions. Students, as you read this passage about Rome's legacy, if you have difficulty answering the questions, refer back to your notes, but you can also look at that diagram that we had on Rome's legacy and its contribution to society. And we'll stop the recording and we'll insert our audio file. And then finally, we can even add a video on ancient Rome. And you all, I'm doing everything, all of this within Wayground. I'm not leaving out, going to YouTube. I'm doing my YouTube search and everything within the platform. So we'll go to ancient Rome. We'll just use this video. I can trim the video to make it as short as I need it to be, and I'll insert the video. So now my students have some additional resources that they can use as they're reading this passage. And let's talk about these questions. Typically, AI will generate your resource in less than a minute, but by default, it typically will create multiple choice questions depending on how you create it. Sometimes it'll create open response or fill in the blank, but that's okay, because when I select or click on any of the questions, the multiple choice questions it's created, I can convert to different question types. Maybe some of those technology enhanced question types the students will see on those state assessments, and the correct answer is still there. But let me just caution, because it's still generative AI, you always want to look over what AI has generated before you assign it. You also can add additional questions if you choose to. I'm not going to select this because I want to just go through the entire process, but you'll be able to add, I think, maybe up to 7 additional question types to this for this passage. And then you publish. Publish is Wayground's way of saving. And I'm just going through the details for those people that are new to Wayground. And then we just choose, once again, our subject and our grade level. And we said that this was for 7th grade and this was social studies. And we'll make this, we'll keep this public. And I'm going to publish it. Now with the passages, your students can annotate over the passages. And I meant to show you, they can annotate. Sometimes they'll even be able to listen to the passage read aloud. They can make notes. But you also, if we had gone back, let me edit to show you this. We can also create a text set, you all. So we could add up to 3 additional, we could have a total of 3 different passages where I could add text and media manually or upload a PDF. So just want you to know that you could have multiple topics within one and add additional questions so the students could maybe have to compare and contrast those resources. Can the passages be posted to Google Classroom? Yes, they can. You can share any activity directly to Google Classroom. And I'll just show you. Let me go ahead. I'm just going to assign this activity. And let me just choose my, I have a Google Classroom here, I believe. Here, yeah. And so this will be assigned directly to my Google Classroom, and my students will get that notification via Google Classroom, or I could easily, it creates a link as well, and I could have shared that link directly to Google Classroom. All right, so we just went over passages, and of course there are interactive videos. For those of you that are new, someone asked about Edpuzzle. If you've used Edpuzzle before, you know about interactive videos. The benefit of these is that they are really interactive. Students do not have to passively watch a video. Wherever you see these diamond marks, that's where the questions have been created. AI can generate the questions. You can add questions, but the video will actually pause when it gets to the question. So students have to answer the question. They can't fast forward. They can't skip the questions. They answer it, and then it will continue. So that's one of the benefits of it. And we have over 135,000 interactive videos that are available in the Wayground library. I really believe there are more. I want to think that there are close to 1 million of these. but we also have flashcards as another way to bring in that engagement for your students. So what I want you all to do is I want you to take a moment. I'll give you a few minutes to explore the instructional suite. I want you to see if you can create an interactive lesson just by going to that pink create button. And I want you to, if you have a Google slide, bring it in, and then import, once you import your slides, use AI to add questions. Or if you want to create from scratch, you can. And then I want you to add a couple of these interactive features. Maybe you can just add one interactive feature, maybe add an interactive video, or maybe some questions with AI. But I'll give you a couple of minutes to explore. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to post those in the chat. Do we have any math or science teachers in this session? Patricia. So, Patricia, you can do that a couple of ways. Now, what I've done, I have actually downloaded or copied my vocabulary list from Quizlet and just pasted it into AI. Just pasted it when I got ready to create my flashcards, and it creates my flashcards for me. Or you could just add your vocabulary list, and it can create your flashcards that way. So you have a lot of different options with creating that. So if you already have your Quizlet resources, you can download those and bring those in as well. And so, Carolyn, I'm going to, for my math teachers, if you use Desmos, or even my science teachers or PhET, you can create these interactive activities as a passage. So what you would do is you would copy the link to that Desmos activity or that PhET simulation, and Wayground can create create that passage for you. But I'm also going to demonstrate that because we can also find some of these activities in the Wayground library when we get to that next. But I just wanted you to know that if you want to use some of those manipulatives for math or science, you can easily bring those in, and you would just paste the URL to that PhET simulation or that Desmos activity. So the students can have those math manipulatives or those science simulations. You all can also add your passage to your lesson. And if you wanted to do it this way, I played around with it. You would assign the passage asynchronously so that when students get to that particular slide, you would just add it as a web link slide, assign the passage asynchronously, and just paste that URL that is generated for the passage. And then that way, when students get to that passage slide, they can go at their own pace because you've set that passage to be asynchronous. So just a lot of different ways that we can make our lessons interactive. Once again, you're starting from your Google Slide lesson, not starting from scratch, but we are modifying it and making it more interactive and more engaging for our students. Use what you have, but just repurpose it with these Wayground features. If y'all have any questions while you're having your exploration time or your sandbox time, feel free to unmute or you can post them in the chat if you aren't sure or if you get stuck on doing this. But you all can be as creative as you want with what you bring into. So the student homepage, yes, I'll show you that. Let me just assign. So when you create any activity and you get ready to assign, let me actually go back to my library. So you always get the option, and Marilyn, if you're looking at the screen, for any activity, you get the option to preview that activity, and you can preview it as a student so that you'll see how your students would engage with this. And so this is the flashcard activity. So when students engage with the flashcards, they really do a self-assessment. If they know the flashcard, if they know the content, they can say, I know, or I'm learning. So just different ways that they can do this, and they flip. So they select, I know this, or I'm learning. So, and then it keeps a track on their dashboard. The same with your passages or anything else you create. You can preview it and it gives you the student's view of that. And the students also have a dashboard on their home screen so that they can see what you've assigned to them as well. So if you've assigned flashcards, those flashcards will be on their home screen. Any activity that you've assigned to them will be on their home screen. So they can see what they've missed, what is due, when it's due, and they can see their results. I was trying to give you a direct look. Oh, that's taking me because I have an administrator's account. Let me see if I can find a link to show you exactly what the students would see, their dashboard. So this is also from the student side. They can pause games, they can resume. This was assigned asynchronous, and they can change their themes as well, and they can also choose the language for their particular activities. All right, so hopefully you had time to explore. So what did you create? All right, so let me see. What were you able to create? What worked well for you? And what are your thoughts on creating these interactive activities? And while you're doing that, Marta, I'm going to try to find the link to the sign-in sheet. And I'll share the join code as well for this lesson. What I want you to do, Marta, if you want to go to wayground.com, you can log in, or if you've used Quizizz in the past, you can log into Quizizz like you normally logged in, and it will redirect you to Wayground. Was anyone able to create an interactive lesson, or at least you were able to start it, the interactive lesson? And what do you think about this, being able to use your current Google Slides and making them more engaging and more interactive? Copied and edited one lesson. So good. Marilyn, I can share. Yes, you will be able to access this presentation. I'm going to share it asynchronous so that you can go through this at your own pace. I'm going to put this in those resource. I think we all have resource pages for our sessions. So I'll put those here, and I'll also put some quick start guides and with videos in it. I'll put a document with session links, with resources, how-to guides, so that you can go at your own pace. Jeannie says, love the ability to add in activities into slide decks. This is what makes it engaging and interactive. Copied and edited one lesson. Okay, this is great, you all. So you all have a great start, and you're not having to start over and create your slides from scratch. You're using what you have, but now you're updating it and refreshing it. In addition to creating from the instructional suite, you can also enhance lessons, as I said, with PhET simulations, math manipulatives, and even more by finding content in the Wayground library. And some of these activity types, you all, are standalone activities, or they could be question types. For instance, within the library, there are millions and millions of resources and activities that have already been created for you. And I want to share in the chat, I want to share some resources. You all, this is a way that you can search by specific content and find resources. And on this page, you can also select the grade band that you teach, or the level, the grade category or level. And depending on what you choose, you then will be able to select the grade and find different activity types that have already been created for your subject. So let me copy this link and put it in the chat. So this is going to also help you find resources. But we're talking about the Wayground library, which is the Explore tab. And there are millions of resources to help you with review, practice, being able to save content that you find. You can search by standards. You can search by books. If you're an ELA teacher, we even have books. And let me put this link for the books in the chat. You may teach one of these books. There are, once again, tons of interactive resources for books that you may use as you're teaching. We also, of course, we have the PhET simulations that are available, as well as the Desmos activities. So how do we get to the library? It's the Explore tab, not to be confused with library. The Explore tab is the Wayground library. One way that you can search, do students need to create an account? To be able to access the activities, I believe they will be able to use the activities just by the links that you share with them. But they can also, your district can create, if you have a school or district plan, students will have a Wayground account. It'll be based, they won't be able to do all of the things that you can do. And if you wanted them to, they could create an account as well, so that they can create their own flashcards, create their own practice reviews. So it is an advantage to have them create and have their own Wayground account to be able to engage with the activities as well. But what I wanted to say is, as you are searching the Wayground library, you can also just search by your subject. Say, for instance, you teach ELA. And when you click on the subject area, and this works for most core subjects, you'll see that the different strands appear. You can choose the grade level that you teach, so that only the content that applies to what you teach will be found on your Wayground dashboard or home screen. Or if you want to search just for a normal topic, someone give me a topic, what else you're teaching, we can search for a normal topic, and I'll show you how this works as well, so that you can find content that you can add to any unit, so that you have a variety of resources for that lesson that you're using, not just for that presentation, but for the full lesson or for that full unit of resources. Say, for instance, I was teaching the water cycle and I wanted to find content. Sometimes I get suggested activities based on the topic, especially if the topic is really broad, or I can search by different activity types for this topic. I can filter by my grade level. So say, for instance, I wanted an assessment on the water cycle. And if I want, let me just say, for this may be for, we'll say middle school, we'll say 7th grade, 6th or 7th grade. So a couple of things that I can do with this activity, you all. I can save it to a collection or a folder so that I can go back and find it later. And I'll just call this my water cycle folder. But other things that I can do, when I click on this three dots, I can copy and edit this assessment. And now with the help of AI, I can modify or enhance this assessment to make it even more accessible, relevant, or fun for my students. I can have AI add an answer explanation for every single question on this assessment, and I can save the changes. It takes my teaching assistant a matter of seconds to create this answer explanation. And the reason I do this is because Wayground will automatically tell students if their answer is correct or incorrect. But I need my students to understand a little bit more about why that correct answer is correct, so that if they see it again, they're more likely to get it correct. I can have Wayground translate this quiz into multiple languages, or when I select more options, it can even convert it to real world scenarios. It can simplify the questions. It can make it more relevant, fun for my students. And I'll save those changes. So with these more options, I can even have it add my student's name or convert to different question types, or even reduce multiple choice questions as a way to make it accessible for my students. And then once I'm done, I simply publish it. And once I publish this assessment, you all, there are even more things that I can do with the help of AI. Once my assessment is published, AI can even generate flashcards directly from this assessment. So, and I always follow this step, because if I assign an assessment, if I have students that didn't do well on this assessment, I now have flashcards that are directly related to this assessment. I'll just select copy and save. And now I have the flashcards to go along with this assessment that I can immediately assign to those students who didn't do well. And if I need to edit these flashcards, just like with the passage, I can edit the flashcards. I can add images to the flashcard. I could add audio, or I could have a combination of words and images. So it's totally up to you, so that you can meet the needs of all of your students. And then we simply publish our flashcards and they're ready to go. All right, for you to narrate an asynchronous lesson. Actually, there's a read aloud for your asynchronous lessons. When you get ready to assign your lessons, and that is in accommodations, Marilyn. When you assign accommodations, you can assign accommodations here for your students. And you select the students that need specific accommodations. Say, for instance, Cyrus needs the read aloud. It can read aloud that lesson for the students, or you could even read what's on the slide, or it will read what's on the slide. So that's the easiest way for you to be able to narrate your asynchronous lessons for your students. So with that, I want you all to explore the Wayground library. See what other resources you can find to help make a lesson more engaging and interactive, and try to save that activity to a folder. And let me just show you where all of your folders will live. All of your folders will live right here in library, which is your library, and they will all be found in collections. So this will be a way for you to organize your content. So I want you to see if you can find some other resources or other activities to help make your lessons more engaging, more interactive. So I'll give you all a couple minutes to just explore the Wayground library, seeing if you can find content on a topic that you will teach this school year. For my science teachers, one way for you to search in the library is just type in PhET, and all of the PhET simulations will appear. I'm going to also drop this link in the chat for all of the PhET simulations that are available to just help make it easier for you to be able to find those resources so that you have those interactive resources. For my math teachers, I'm going to do the same for the Desmos resources. I think I can. All right, so you'll be able to find all of the Desmos activities on this particular document. I'm just trying to give you all some interactive ways that you can make your lessons interactive, but also how you can have interactive activities as a part of what you're teaching. Any questions about the Wayground library? You will be able to find all 5 activity types for any topic for the most part that you're teaching. So you just search for that topic and then you can filter by those 5 different activity types that we saw in the instructional suite. So y'all, those are 5 different ways for you to make what you teach engaging and interactive. 5 different ways for you to deliver your content beyond just using Wayground for assessment. So many different ways that we can use Wayground to modify and enhance what we're already doing in the classroom. Are there any questions? All right, so as you are searching, what have you found so far? Thank you, Alejandra. I appreciate it. We have another session coming up next on personalized learning where we'll go into more detail with AI and how we can use AI to modify and personalize and differentiate, help us differentiate, but also we'll talk about accommodations in the next session. Was anyone able to find any good resources in the Wayground library? You all, there are a lot of resources that are publisher created that's available in the Wayground library. Patricia said there are a lot more videos added under French. Yes, Patricia, there are a lot of resources have been added. And now you all, with these interactive videos, we can use AI to help create those questions for YouTube videos. So that's a new feature for back to school as well. Now you can use YouTube videos, bring them in and use AI to generate the questions for those YouTube videos. All right. Yes. Okay. Definitely look through to see what you find. And you all, as you're finding content, save it into different folders for your units, maybe unit 1, unit 2, whatever, so that you already have it organized and ready to go for back to school. That way, when school starts, you are ready to roll. When does school start for you all? Hopefully you still have a little time before school starts. Hopefully your summer. Oh, yeah. James, a week and a half. Oh my goodness, that's going to go by fast. So take advantage of what you've learned in this session. Find your resources. Go ahead and get ahead of the curve because I know you all already know what you're teaching. So you can start looking for content on that topic. Are there any other questions? Oh, Thursday for a district get together. Tucson, Bernadette, I totally get it. The summer goes by too fast and 8/5 is definitely, it's here right around the corner. Thank you all so much for your time this afternoon. I hope you have an awesome school year. All right, and if you wish to learn more about how you can personalize learning and blended learning for your students, my next session starts it's 5:15 my time. So that may be about 2:15 your time. Bye, everyone.